What's next as gay marriage comes close to passage of the House while Senate passage is in doubt? In 1996, the Clinton administration passed the Defense of Marriage Act, defining marriage as between a man and a woman. In 2015, the Supreme Court, Obergefell versus Hodges ruling declared that the law was unconstitutional and allowed for same-sex marriages. With the overturning of Roe v. Wade and Justice Thomas declaring that other rulings would be following, same-sex marriage is now at risk. The House Democrats have already taken action, drafting the Respect for Marriage Act. This law would repeal the Defense of Marriage Act and amend the laws to protect same-sex unions. The House voted shortly. We're in the middle of the live vote at the Capitol, and many expect that the law will pass in the House of Representatives, but it may stall in the Senate. And while we don't have the final vote, we do make mention that the news this afternoon that complicates the vote on gay marriage is complicated because 17, mostly female congresswomen, have been arrested this afternoon in protest at the Supreme Court. So it's delayed the entire day of legislative session, and it's likely going to go late into the night. Of course, we're going to report on the outcome, which is likely going to be passage in the House. So what do we think about the gay protection law that the House is considering?
Well, I think we, have realized we can't let the Supreme Court protect us from all of our rights, and that there is a majority of Americans that do support marriage equality and same-sex marriage. And so if we have the majority of America supporting it, then our Congress people should be doing what the majority of voters have actually asked them to do.
I'm curious for all of you. We've been talking about this today in production, watching what is painfully slow going on today in Washington. It's interesting. CJ was barely alive in 2015 when Obergefell came down. When that announcement took place right prior to the Stonewall anniversary, it was national and international news. The White House lit up in rainbow colors. The Eiffel Tower was in rainbow colors. It brought really a large portion of the world to a stop. Today, the House is going to, in this vote, as it's going on, vote to codify gay marriage into law. And the Senate's going to take it up. And the only question in the Senate is whether we can get 10 votes among the Republicans. But it's interesting to me that today there's almost no discussion about it. There's no, it's not the same kind of reaction that we had on the Supreme Court 5-4 decision in 2015. Why is that? Have we become so blasé in our community that it's like, what's the big deal?
Well, we have talked about complacency before, and that's death. I mean, if you just get comfortable, then they can pull the rug out from under you.
And that's exactly what's happening to us now.
It's already happened with Roe v. Wade. We have to protect our fundamental rights. And I was 11, by the way.
11.
I was alive.
All right, just barely. But I'm curious to the point of my question. If this was 2012 today, if this was 2012, this would be the #1 story in the world. And today, it's like, oh, wait, the House hasn't voted yet? Wait, the House is voting? What are they voting on?
Well, I mean, I think if you're saying from the world, I think it's very confusing to understand what's happening in America. We've passed these, progressive things in the courts, and now we're seeing them being unwound, and we're usually seen as a bastion for progress and for democracy, and we're really seeing democracy taken away because, again, the majority of voters do support Roe v. Wade. They do support same-sex marriage. So I think it's confusing, honestly.
Yeah, we're showing a slide. One of the big effects of this bill is the repeal of DOMA, and the other thing, in case you're not really clear about what happens, is this is a defensive law. It tries to steer clear of states' rights issues because they know what a Clarence Thomas would do with that. So what this is saying is we're codifying in law that if a state recognizes gay marriage, it must be recognized by every other state. No state can eliminate the recognition of the gay marriage if a state has done that. Now, of course, that means New York and California will never get rid of gay marriage, and Alabama and Kentucky and Iowa,
Texas,
maybe Florida, we don't know, can't not recognize gay marriage, which for all intents and purposes pulls all the teeth out of the culture war of marriage. It's going to, when this vote that is going on takes place, is going to pass. It's going to be interesting to see how many Republicans in the House vote no, because they are going to have to specifically crawl out on that limb and publicly say, I think state rights are more important. That is a dangerous slope for them, because at the end of the day, and the same issue in the Senate, okay, let's grant that argument for a moment. I vote to allow states to decide whether black people can vote in America, or whether a black man can marry a white woman in America, because those issues were all federal constitutional issues. States historically have not done a great job on civil rights. That's why we had a civil war. So what are the Democrats, when they do this in the House, and they're going to, even Manchin is going to vote for this, when they get the 50 votes to the needed next 10 from the Republicans, what are the Republicans going to say in the Senate? What do you think?
We know what Ted Cruz is going to do, because he's been all over TV just talking about it.
Actually, I'm going to ask this question again, but I want to zero in on that final slide that we have for you, and I'll just read it specifically. This week, Texas Senator Ted Cruz said that enshrining same-sex marriage by the Supreme Court was clearly wrong, and something must be done about it.
Didn't he also say something about the fact that same-sex marriage was not a constitutional right? Like you said earlier, so many of the federal laws that have given more equality in this country are not a part of the Constitution. The rights of women, the rights of people of color, the right to marry across racial lines. That is because of federal. That is the Supreme Court doing. That is federal ruling. And if you're really going to back all of that up and say, oh, no, it's states' rights, this is what we're going to do now, we're taking all of this away, then what's, like you said, what's next? What's going to happen next? Am I going to become not even a third-class citizen in this state or in this country? Am I going to become a 10th-class citizen because I'm a woman, I'm queer, and I'm black? What's going to happen?
Strike one. Strike two.
Strike three.
Right.
You're going to hop from state to state, and you're not going to have your rights.
Yeah, I honestly don't understand. It's the Senate vote, the debate, and the vote is going to be fascinating, because in your situation, if you decided you're in Alabama and you decide that you're going to marry Jeff Oliverio, now why that combination would ever happen?
Because we're fabulous and adorable.
You're fabulous. Okay, we'll live in that world for a moment. But if you made that decision to do that, the state of Alabama, if they could return to what the Supreme Court said, George McGovern, you can't do this on the steps of the Capitol building to prevent separate but equal education in Alabama. It was not until 1967 that you deciding that you want to have a relationship with Jeff Oliverio was even legal. And that was the Supreme Court that said, sorry, Alabama doesn't get to make that decision. This is a constitutional 14th Amendment right. Now, 40 Republicans in the Senate are going to have to say, no, that decision wasn't right. The state should be allowed to do it. How are they
But if
going
they
to
say
do
that, they're taking away their own power.
Well, there's the question.
Right.
The genius of the Pelosi, Schumer death pill, swallow the death pill here, is it's going to force them out to say that. Because they want to hide in this and go, the courts can decide, because they know what the courts will decide. Clarence Thomas has already told us. He telegraphed us.
And his own marriage. Of course, it's probably easier. She probably won't let him divorce her. So this way, if you make his marriage illegal, he can get away from Ginny the Pooh. I mean, she's just vile.
Right. Well, As I said, 14 minutes into the show, and we don't have an answer yet, but it is coming, and we'll report it first thing tomorrow on Queer News Tonight. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.